Carvana, what is it, what does that mean?
Well, they're coming up with the ideas.
We should really fight it. Like, no, we're not gonna have it in our building. Why do you own this all?
There's name in here, and it's not really a person, it's the name of a law firm that's handling it. That's what the web yeah, here we go. The owner of the Woods Drive. Run by a lawyer.
It's not the name of the company. It's a subdivision of 9801 and 9811.
That's from our building to Solution Road.
So they want to put in a subdivision in that with Carvana in it?
Right now, it's one property.
Oh, I see.
How would they divide that into five?
Not our property.
Directly exposed to the, oh, wait a minute, there's,
I don't know. Right.
Oh, there's Ross.
But what about the senior home that they're
Very good, Ross. We're almost giving up on you.
Yeah, it's just my birthday.
Oh, gee whiz. Hey, Ross. Where's the cake? Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the October 7th meeting of the Skokie Plan Commission. Before our meeting starts, let me tell you that, or say that the Plan Commission is made up of members that are appointed by the mayor. And we reviewed the petitioner's request, and our vote tonight is not binding. It is sent on to the Board of Trustees for them to vote on at a future meeting, and they meet on the first and third Mondays of every month. Now tonight, we have a case tonight for the subdivision at 9801 to 9911 Woods Drive. And there is a related case with the Carvana site plan, but that is not going to be discussed tonight. Tonight is just for the subdivision. I cannot, I will not entertain any questions about the Carvana petition, and that case is coming up 2 weeks from tonight. And at that time, you can bring your concerns, questions, and comments about that case for that meeting. So with that, first order of business tonight will be approval of the minutes for the last meeting. Do I have a motion to approve? Commissioner Berman, thank you. Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes have been approved. So again, tonight's case is the subdivision case number 2021-23P at 9801 to 9911 Woods Drive, and there's a petitioner here tonight. Petitioner, please come up.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that the staff report be
Not yet.
entered into.
Not yet. You're jumping the gun. Could you give us any names, please, for the record?
Sure. Mark Rogers. I'm from Liston and Santillis, and I represent NextGen.
Okay.
And this is Chris Patel from NextGen.
Let him, please.
Chris Patel, Next Gen Hotels.
And do you have an address, sir?
Yep. 550 East Devon, Itasca.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Patel, will you be giving testimony tonight? Or just,
I'll be giving most of the testimony. If there's any questions,
Okay.
I'll turn it over.
very
to
good.
Chris.
And you are an attorney?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see, Corporation Counsel Kabilski, is the notice in order?
Yes, notice is proper and correct.
Okay, very good. All right, why don't you go ahead and give us an overview of why you are requesting a subdivision at this site?
Sure. So first of all, I just wanted to restate what you said. This has nothing to do with Carvana. This is simply just the re-subdivision.
This is just the
of
land
the
use
property.
case.
Correct. So our goal is to take, this is currently one pin. We are looking to separate this one pin out into 5 new pins so they more closely correlate with the owners of the actual properties. When it's one pin, all the taxes go into that one pin, it gets sent to one owner, and then they have to kind of divvy out the taxes completely. Or you have to get an AINQ sheet from the assessor's office that breaks down the individual improvements. Those are actually gone for 2021. So this helps in a number of ways, mostly just to make it easier for any taxpayers, any potential buyers, any owners.
Okay, very good. Any questions of the petitioner pertaining to the subdivision and the request? None? Okay. If you're finished with your presentation, I'll ask the staff to give its report.
Yeah, if there's no questions,
No, no questions.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once I forgot to mention, the procedure is I'll have the petitioner come up, present its case. I'll have the staff present its report, then I will open up the floor to any questions, comments pertaining to this case. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. The staff.
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask the staff report be entered into the record.
Your request is granted.
Yeah.
If you just give us an overview.
I don't have anything else to add. It does meet the minimum requirements, the zoning requirements and the planning requirements.
And what is the zone?
It's zone OR existing,
Okay.
so I recommend approval.
Any questions of the staff?
Are we supposed to hear what he's saying?
Is the mic?
My mic is on, but, yeah. So it meets the minimum requirements for zoning and planning. Again, this doesn't have to do with the Carvana case. This is just a property line, just reorganizing the property lines, and we recommend approval.
Yeah. Commissioner Quinn has a question.
Yeah, could you just kind of give us an overview of this whole area of these various
Well, there's-
owners here and related, it's a single pin now, but it's going to be several pins in the future perhaps,
Yeah.
5 pins.
5 pins. And I imagine the 5 pins will be existing ownership and then it'll be an available pin based on something that might happen in the future?
I'll try. So there's an existing building here. This is where I think the Everett College site is, and then there's a daycare. There's separate businesses through here. And then there's a vacant building back here. I believe that's the case. And then this is a parking lot. And then south of here is Optima. Yeah. So then north. Yeah, the boundary for the request tonight is this. And then this is the parking lot. There's a parking lot. And then south of that is the Optima, which is not on this piece of paper. Yeah. And then north is our the North Shore buildings. There was an outpatient and doctor's offices, that sort of thing.
Okay. Any other questions of staff pertaining to the subdivision? Thank you, Matt. Does that conclude your report?
That concludes my report.
Thank you. All right, I'll entertain questions and comments, but only comments, questions pertaining to the subdivision case. So, anybody, please come up. Please, just come up and give us your name and your address. Just go on to the record.
My name is Minna Einhorn. I live in the south building of the
Give us your address, please.
9725 Woods Drive.
Thank you.
I have just a question about the buildings on the property.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you said that there is a building back here that is in the, behind the school lot.
Yes.
I thought there was 3, 4 buildings up there. And so I was just wondering, the Rand McNally building, is that empty?
I'm not sure.
For the most part, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's vacant.
So there are 4 buildings,
The
actually?
big office buildings back there, yeah, it is.
Okay. I just wanted to know how many buildings there were and if they are all empty.
Yeah, it was all one, campus, and so some of them are connected, and so it's hard to say which one's actually separate, but I think the point and the purpose of, this application is to kind of sort that out and to create these separate boundaries so that the buildings will be owned by separate people.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, please come up to the podium. Please speak into the microphone.
Yes.
To your left.
Oh,
Further, move over.
that one. Oh, this one?
Yeah, there you go. Pull it
Hi,
down if you
I'm-
need to.
Huh?
Pull it down to your, yes. Very good, thank you.
Hi, I'm Bernadine Turner. I live at 9725 Woods Drive.
Yes.
With this parcel that is up for the subdivision, does that include it includes what you talked about, what used to be the school, the nursery school? Does it also exceed what used to be the Peapod building? Does it include
I
that?
think that, yeah,
And so then does it extend all the way to Old Orchard Road?
I don't think.
So it doesn't include where North Shore Health is?
No,
Okay, and so when by approving the subdivision, does that mean that all of those buildings then now are, is it changed ownership, or are they to be demolished, or,
well, that'll be up to the property owner to decide.
okay.
And he hasn't really given us an idea of what he's gonna do yet.
Okay, because what he said today, it makes it sound like it's just a tax purpose, that it's being subdivided.
Well,
so
that's
that-
part of it,
That's a part of it.
yes,
And that's all we're discussing tonight,
correct,
is whether or not it's okay for that property
to be
to be
subdivided.
divided for tax purposes.
That is correct.
Okay, and so presently, the guidelines that, for the property in that area fall under certain rules and regulations, and it's only the division, but no changes to any of the
The zoning is gonna stay the same,
ordinances. Okay,
yes,
all right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name
You
is
can take your
Candy.
mask down if you want, if it makes it easier for you to speak.
Thank you. Candy Spreckman. I live at 9725 Woods Drive. Thank you for hearing us. I understand the reason for subdividing. I'm not clear on this map if we are actually seeing the southern boundary of the property that's included. My concern is with the existing buildings, some of which are occupied, some of which are not. I don't know enough about zoning to know whether these structures need to have a certain amount of parking available for each building. Has that been taken into consideration for an office area? In other words, right now, everybody shares everything. I also wanted to know about the railroad tracks. At what point are they under Skokie's jurisdiction? Does somebody else own those? What are the easements there?
If I remember right, I think the right-of-way to the tracks is still owned by the CTA.
Is it CTA?
It was Commonwealth Edison for the,
Commonwealth Edison owns it?
well, there's a right-of-way there, a definite right-of-way. But I remember a period when the CTA was considering extending the train up there, but, and I think they still own the right-of-way. What do you know anything about that,
It's
Matt?
shown that way on the map.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also the trail.
Right.
but, yeah.
Yes, they did just put in a new street that,
A trail, yes.
well, it's, motorized vehicles can use it. I mean, it's paved. Didn't it have a name? Was it an extension of a certain street that is?
There's no street back there.
Because there's an entrance to it from Old Orchard Road. Am I crazy?
I think that just leads into the back parking lot.
Yeah, it doesn't go anywhere, but
Oh,
it's
right,
there. They
yeah.
spent a lot of money, somebody spent a lot of
Yeah.
money putting it in. But I just want to know what's included in the current LLC that owns this property.
Can I answer that?
Sure. I think Matt can answer that question for you, our
Yeah.
planning director.
Hi.
Yes, please.
Just as the zoning remains the same, there's an ordinance that governs this entire property. All the parking is shared, the systems are shared, there's shared maintenance on all of these. I'm sure they share, garbage receptacles. And so all of those remain in place and are not being changed as a result of this request. Your initial question was about parking,
Yes.
and that will be shared, and will remain shared.
So if one of these buildings is sold and separated from the rest of the community,
Yeah.
that new guy gets to use everybody else's parking? Or
Yeah, it will be accounted for that way. Now, if it's, and I'm not sure if this is what you're getting at, but if there is future redevelopment, where a building is removed and then rebuilt, or there is the opportunity.
Repurposed, yeah.
We would have to evaluate the parking as a standalone basis, but we would also evaluate the parking on a campus-wide basis.
And you wouldn't do that before you separate them?
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am, please come up.
Hi, I'm Sheila Gross, 9655 Woods Drive. I guess from where I was sitting, I couldn't see which parcel was which, so I can see it now. So from what you said, the parking lot that is directly north of the Optima, is that part of this or not?
No.
It is not. So which part of the parcel is that, or is that owned by somebody else?
I don't know who owns that.
It's owned by the same group, but it's not part of this request. And,
So that already has its own PIN?
well,
I'm not sure I understand.
It's left as a remnant as a result of this subdivision. So there's a parcel to the north where the North Shore Health System is.
Right,
So that is its
That-
own lot.
but those are two buildings, North Shore.
Right.
Okay.
And so as a result of this, that becomes its own lot. The parking lot to the south becomes its own lot. But this in the middle is the part that's requested. It's a re-subdivision of a existing plat.
So the parking lot that is not part of this already has its own PIN number? And is it owned by the same group?
I'm pretty sure it's owned by the same people, or it may be under contract. But we're not notified of that transaction.
Okay,
you
so,
know.
so that parking lot is not part of this?
That's
It's
correct.
everything
Yes,
north of that? Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Dmitry Praskachilov, 9715 Woods Drive. I have a question. For how long this parcel was as a whole unit? For how long, how many years it was like that?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
Be honest, I don't know.
probably long enough, right?
For long enough, yes.
So now the whole purpose is dividing, it's just for the future development. We're not talking about dividing for tax purposes because it's been forever, almost seems like nobody knows for how long.
Most petitioners, request to do that. That's
Yeah,
his
because
prerogative.
the petitioner presented like it's better for tax purposes, but it doesn't have to do anything with taxes. It's most likely that they have some plans for future
He-
development that we need to discuss.
He may have plans, yes.
So may petitioner express these plans, because it seems like it's important thing.
Well, he hasn't made the plans, noted the plans to us. No, we don't know.
Well, we should know, because if we divide it for 5 separate pieces and they are all kind of odd shaped, as you can see, they have plans. It's like obviously from
Well,
the drawing.
they may have plans. They may have, 2 or 3 plans for one specific lot, but he hasn't decided what to do with it, so.
Well, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
I was wondering, it's not an accident that they're raising this now. Devious. It's not coincidence. It's not coincidence.
Good evening.
Good
Hi.
evening.
My name is Fern Kalai. My husband and I live at 9725 Woods Drive in the Optima Maple Tower. We've been there 10 years. And I know you don't want to talk about specific occupants, but I think the last gentleman's speech was really important to understand. What is the true reason that the developers want to divide this property, if not with an ultimate goal of more buyers? And they have a plan in mind. So without being specific about Carvana and all that, which I respect your opinion and your perspective, but I think we have to be honest that this is just not accidental, that all of a sudden they're dividing the property. They're dividing it with a very specific plan to make more money, and I question at the expense of whom. That's all I'm saying, that we should be cognizant that this is not neutral. That there is a reason to do this that's not just arbitrary or to get money, or to get taxes, but something that could be disturbing to the residents. That's all I'm asking,
Thank
that
you
you
very much.
keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Please. Please. Yes, sir.
Can I add something?
So I'd kind of like to,
After.
Sam Golden, 9715 Woods. So I'd like to kind of follow up on that a little bit. It's clear that the request seems legal, and, an owner of a property can do what they want within the law to develop, to make money. Capitalism, it's the American way. My only question is, there's a lot of people who live at Optima, and if it seems to us that some of the business plans that are being entertained could damage our property value or damage our ease of access or other lifestyle things we enjoy right now, is that something that we can have any influence over the decision in?
Well, as I've stated, you, probably at the next meeting, would be your best chance to voice your opinion. Tonight is not the night.
Are those considerations taken into account when you make your decisions?
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I?
Yes.
So in regard to the lots that are being created tonight, if there are changes on those sites, if a new development is proposed, that will also come before the Plan Commission and to be considered. And it would be the same process that, you know, I'm sure you're going to take part in a couple weeks. So when you say there's some other reason for this happening, and there are probably many reasons that the owner is requesting the subdivision plat. But please know that if a new building, a new development is proposed, it'll come before the village. We'll send out the notice, and it'll be on the agenda, and you'll have the opportunity to speak.
Yes, sir.
My name is Kevin Kane. I live at 9715 Woods Drive. The thing that concerns me is you as a group are the Planning Commission. You're going to make a recommendation to the mayor that will be passed by the Planning Commission, but then we don't get to talk until 2 weeks down the road to find out what the plan is for the future of the properties. That's the thing. That's the thing that's disconcerting to me.
Well, it's a process, and this is part of the process. This is the beginning of the process.
Well, I understand it as a process, but I think a lot of people would feel a lot more comfortable if kind of the plan were to come out of the Planning Commission, or it was understood at the Planning Commission level is what is the plan for the future of the
Well,
property.
that's what the meeting in 2 weeks from tonight is all about.
Well, I'll be back. Thank you for the invitation.
I'll be back.
Yes.
Good evening, thanks for having us. Leslie Pincombe, 9715 Woods Drive. We just purchased property there ourselves. Just wondering, are we led to believe that, and maybe a clarification, this property here and then the open lot, are they owned by the same corporation, same LLC?
I believe so.
They may not be at this point. I would have to check our records, but we're not notified when, you know, some of these conveyances occur.
Yeah.
So it may have transferred recently, but previously they were owned by the same.
And we're only looking at the property in question in the reports tonight.
Yeah.
Nothing else around it.
Fair enough. My concern is that I'm not sure if these gentlemen want us to believe that maybe this property down here, if it's still joint only with the same owners here, that even if they destroy anything here, that they're looking for more access or easement to get into the potential development down here in the parking lot. So I'm just wondering, are they saying to us that, oh no, what's happening here in the parking lot has nothing in the future?
They're not saying anything at all. All we're concerned tonight about
But silence
is that,
can be golden
well,
for them.
maybe for them.
I'm just
But-
concerned that they're looking for property here for an easier easement into potential development. down here.
That's open to conjecture. Right now, we're just concerned about the piece that's in front of us.
Paul, do you think the petitioner could shed some light, add some clarity? It's up to you.
Fair
Up to you.
enough.
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
No, because I just want to keep it simple here. Again, this is just a subdivision. Has nothing to do with anything else, okay?
There's been no application
There's no
made.
application made.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to burden the petitioner with presenting anything that he may not be ready to present tonight,
Yeah.
which he doesn't have to present tonight.
Would the petitioners, and I doubt they would they be able to come up and say to us, oh no.
You can ask him privately after the meeting, but I will not entertain that tonight,
I'm asking questions.
okay?
But it just seems to me that there's something else going on here. We're not seeing the full picture here yet.
That's not, we don't look into the future like that.
Okay, we'll
We're
raise
just-
it again, but thank you.
We just have to look at this as
Okay,
what it is.
thank you.
Hi, my name is Pete Moratis. I live in 9715, or have a unit in 9715. I've actually had it since pre-construction, and so probably for the last 14 years or so. I think what attracted me to the property, and probably more like everybody else, is kind of the nature area and how it's kind of had its own like look, and the way the original development was played out to be created. You know, there was someone who asked this question a few people ago, and this gentleman just touched base on that. There's a very large lot that sits there that has been kind of greatly unused, or maybe somewhat unused. And I think what everybody's saying, and the fear of what everybody's saying, is that it's easy to look up, further up, but nobody wants to, we don't want to touch base on the Carvana, but nobody wants that to encroach on the property there.
Sir, again, your question, please limit your questions to the case at hand, which is the subdivision.
Well, I think it should be answered if
It's
they
not germane.
own that
Your
property.
question is not germane to the subdivision.
Well, it kind of is. If the parking lot's owned by,
We're not talking about the parking lot.
but if it's on the same
It doesn't
owner,
matter.
how does it not matter?
Because we're talking about.
Because once you approve
We're-
that,
no,
then
no,
you're gonna
no,
lead in.
it does not. The parking lot is not part of this case.
It does matter. Because what would happen is if you approve all of that, then you're gonna lead in. That's been approved already. You're gonna lead into that parking lot if it's owned by those people, right? I mean, isn't that,
No, it's not.
okay, that was my question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a few questions. My name is Israel Ebert. I live in 9655 Woods, Optima. I want to know, why are you or the commission seem to be more concerned about burdening the applicant than burdening the people who live there?
Because tonight, he's only presenting the subdivision case.
Well, we're talking about the subdivision case.
Okay,
Why are you
what is
more-
your question about the subdivision?
My question is that, why are you not considering more the burden that's going to be on the owners, the residents, than than the applicant? That's the question. That's one question.
Because it's not a question for tonight, thank you.
Well, why not?
Because that case will come up in 2 weeks.
Well, I would like to say that, I think that you're dealing with a lot of people, this is a residential area, and I want to know what steps.
I understand,
I want to ask the question.
but sir, you're getting ahead of yourself. You'll have an opportunity to talk at the next meeting. When the case
I
comes
still have a
forward.
question, though. My question is that what are you doing to consider the effects that any of this will have on the residents of the
It
applicant?
doesn't have anything,
Well, let me
it
finish.
does have no,
Including the potential traffic, the environmental, what we'll do to
There's-
property values and quality of living.
there
What
has
are you
no,
doing to
those
consider
items
for
have
this?
no bearing on this case.
Why wouldn't it have a bearing on
Because
this case?
this is just a legal matter of subdividing the property.
So all that I brought up there's no consideration for that at all in what you're
Not in
doing?
this case.
Then what are you considering to approve? What is your criteria to approve or reject?
It's
So
a
that we
land, it's a
know.
land use issue. It's a land use.
So
Okay?
what would
It's
cause you
it's
to?
any petitioner's right to ask for a subdivision of his property, and that's what he's
What
doing.
would lead you to agree or disagree? What is it? Is it automatic, you're just gonna agree? Is that the point, or is there some reason you may not? Well, what is your criteria?
It's a ministerial.
It's a ministerial issue.
So, no criteria?
No
If it,
criteria.
if it meets the minimum standards, sir, please.
Yeah.
If it meets the minimum standards, we're required to approve the plat. And when you talk about impacts, I mean, there's literally all the question before us tonight is where the property lines are located. In my review of this, I determined that there was, that the proper chords and distances on literally the surveying components of this plat were met. I reviewed that the certificates that for signature were incorporated into the plat. There's no other review. This is just a subdivision plat. I understand where you think this leads to and that sort of thing. You want to talk about other things, but the application before tonight just has to do with property boundaries. That's it. And when they meet the minimum requirements, we are required to approve it.
I would just ask that you also think about everything here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is David Heimovich, Dr. David Heimovich. I reside at 9655 Woods. my question is directly to the zoning change, I believe.
It's not a
Please
zoning change.
correct me if I'm wrong.
It's not a zoning change.
So currently, we are an OR, correct?
Correct.
Will it continue to be an OR?
Yes.
And so the question that I have, I guess, is what is the purpose then of your subdividing this?
It's not our purpose, it's the
Or
petitioner's
the purpose of approving a subdivision of the current property?
As explained by the planning director.
Forgive me, I wasn't here in the beginning.
Okay, basically, the petitioner owns this piece of property.
Mhm.
He wants to subdivide it, that's his right.
Mhm.
And we are obligated to look at the boundaries, make sure everything is fine, and then move on with it.
What do you mean by move on?
There's nothing else to do.
You see, one of the things, I'm a national medical director for the largest healthcare corporation in America.
Well, thank
One
you
of the
for
things that
saying
we have learned in government as well, because I deal with government on the Hill and with corporate America, is transparency. And honestly, it does not feel that there's transparency in this room. So I like to remind you that there has to be transparency.
I'd like to remind you too that the transparency is here. There's nothing that we're hiding. All I'm saying is that your questions, your comments, or whatever, should be held for the next meeting.
I specifically was talking about the subdivision and the zoning, not about what you're going to put there or what you're going to allow to
We're
put
not,
there.
we're not hiding anything here. We're completely transparent about the subdivision.
Mine was only a reminder.
Thank you.
My name is Jovita Carranza, and I live at 9715 Woods Drive. I'm on the very top, not on the 15th floor, so I don't have any particular issues about height at this time, but I know I do have neighbors that definitely consider a particular view as a quality of life. And I'd like to ask you about 3 questions. Number 1, is this an enterprise zone particular area? I know it's a commercial zone area. And is
No.
it, has it applied for an opportunity zone?
No.
Right, so those are, because those would change the dynamics of the zoning, the purpose of particular
They haven't
usage of
asked
that
for a
land.
zoning change.
Pardon me?
They have not asked for a zoning change.
How, however.
They have not asked for a zoning change in this case.
Well, I'd like to ask also, the integrity of each of those zones, will they maintain the type of commercial business that's
Currently, it's
currently in
zoned
that particular
OR,
zone?
and it will be zoned OR tonight. I mean, we're not changing the zoning.
However, if he partitions, the integrity of partitioning each one is what? Retaining what's in place now?
Yes.
The type of business or the type of,
It'll still be OR once, when the subdivision goes through.
is there a statute of limitation in that?
No.
Is there a particular reason why the tax breakdown is of critical nature?
That's not within our purview as a planning commission to look at the taxes.
Because,
So
Mr.
we-
Luke, one of the things that I hold really dear is transparency. And the more honest you are about us, about our particular property and our particular area, our community, we can definitely make better decisions on what we're going to do with our investments. Each one of us invested anywhere from $300,000 to $1 million plus for our properties. And if we don't have that value proposition with the commissioners in this room, that we can talk as professionals about moving ahead.
I don't understand why you think we're not transparent. I mean, this is a simple subdivision case.
No, I understand, but it's very meaningful to us that a particular dynamic could change in what we signed up or agreed to move into.
Well, it could change, yes, I agree with you, but not tonight.
So you'll let us know if there is an application for an enterprise zone and
There
or an
is-
opportunity zone, because those can change the dynamics.
Again, there's a case before the plan commission at the next meeting, 2 weeks from tonight, which will cover that. You'll have a chance to speak about that case that night. Tonight, we cannot entertain questions or comments on that case.
Is there, the opportunity also to have ad hoc meetings with the attorneys from that particular LLC?
At that meeting, yes.
Okay, because
Not tonight.
you don't, right, but you don't control that. I mean, if we want to call a meeting with these gentlemen,
That's
we
up to
can.
you.
Okay, very good, thank you. Appreciate it.
My name is Ed Kalai, and I'm at 9725 Woods Drive. I don't understand all these legalities, and I understand what you want to keep the meeting to, but I want to understand the bigger picture. So I understand management. I'm a professor at Kellogg here, and we know very well that the order of the agenda can lead to very different outcomes, and I think that's largely what people here are concerned about. Because it looks to me like if this agenda goes through, the next meeting, this is going to be established facts. And now the next, if it's you or whoever is the next chairman will say, well, there's nothing we can do, this is already divided like this. So the decision is a bigger decision than just what you limit us here to. And we want the village to come up with a good decision, not with something that happened by accident in the way the discussion was narrowed down. I don't know who decided to narrow the discussion down. You're saying it, but I don't know if that's a rule from heaven. So I'm really concerned. I really think that something is not very cleverly done here.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Mary Lee Lally, 9715 Woods Drive. We've lived there, my husband and I have lived at Woods Drive for about 13 years. Big investment, lots and lots and lots of taxes. Tremendous taxes, we think. Just a point of clarification. I'm not understanding. You're saying that the zoning will not be changed?
Not
Is that
tonight.
not tonight? But in 2 weeks, perhaps it will be.
It may, I don't know.
Okay, that's what I want to hear.
It's just a site plan.
Okay, it's just a site plan approval.
And there's
What does that mean?
There's a text amendment too.
A site plan approval is when a petitioner presents its basic,
Yeah.
footprint, building, blah, blah, but there won't be a zoning change. It'll also,
I don't understand what you're saying at all. What does that mean?
in the case two weeks from tonight, the petitioner will present a site plan. And we will look at the site plan, look at the traffic for the site plan, the footprint, make sure the parking is all there, and that's what the case is about.
The site plan includes a building, parking lot, landscaping.
I understand that. I understand
stormwater.
that.
There was a gentleman in the audience who asked. but-
Yes, I understand that.
And that's.
But
that
you are
covers the
saying
things.
tonight, you're not going to change the zoning.
No.
But perhaps in 2 weeks or in the future, you might. Is that accurate?
It could be in the future, yes. But
In the
tonight,
future?
it's not
Well,
gonna
that's what I'm trying to clarify.
Yes.
So it might be zoned commercial, at least this area or whatever.
That
in
it's
the
currently-
future.
It's zoned OR.
I
which is
understand,
office
we know
research.
that. Yes.
And the request in 2 weeks is not to change the zoning, it's to amend the text of that zoning. So it would remain office research, but they're asking for the car dealership use to be added. But, and I
That
really,
doesn't, that doesn't make sense even. How can you put a car dealership in an OR
it's-
area?
it's not germane for tonight, but that's the request in 2 weeks. It's a request, they made an application to.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you would have to give variance to the zoning.
In
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we
Not
don't
tonight.
want. That's what we don't want.
Well,
Thank you.
Good evening.
Yes.
John Hattenbeck, 9655 Woods Drive. Again, I'm trying to understand the subdivision. To me, when I've seen subdivisions done, it's taking a piece of property to turn into a residential subdivision or to subdivide in some other way. It would seem like the land use planning would include what's intended. You don't just divide a 20-acre parcel into a bunch of quarter-acre lots without knowing what you're going to do there. So in that sense, it does seem kind of out of order, and I'm wondering if there's any way that the next step can be done first, and then this can be done afterwards, contingent upon understanding what's going to be done. Because it seems like it's not a perfunctory thing. It's not like you're just taking, 20 acres and dividing into two, 10-acre parcels. It's more complex than that and more involved than that. And to say that it's just a perfunctory thing, in my background and experience, I'm an attorney, not land use, but you don't just come and subdivide land and come in to do a major development and say, don't worry about the development, we're just going to approve the subdivision. It's usually done as part of the same case and part of the same evaluation. So that's my confusion.
Not necessarily. I mean, a petitioner's right to subdivide the land is his.
So if it's an automatic right, then I don't know why you have a hearing, but I just don't understand that it's an automatic right.
Because it does require a public hearing.
Okay, well, I mean, it seems like we're having a public hearing to discuss something that there's no value to the input, so I just don't understand that. Thank you.
My name is Roberto Levy. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. My question is, when anybody asks for a change in a subdivision or divide a place, don't they have to present a plan of what they have to do?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
In other words, you absolutely do not know, or you don't have any idea what is going to be done in there?
No, that's.
Is that clear? Because I want to hear from you and the rest of the members to tell me that you do not know what they want or how can this affect to 800 units with thousands of people that vote, and that will take in consideration what all of you do and with respect how it's going to affect us. We want fairness and clarity, not obscurity like you are doing. And you are obscure because you know what's going on and you are hiding from us.
We're not hiding anything from you.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Do you know, you do not know what they plan to do in there? And I need your answer for that.
Again, we are only talking about a subdivision case here.
I don't care.
And I am,
No. Listen,
Talk about the.
I am asking you if you do not know,
please.
you not make me answer, you may shut up, but you are not going to make shut up the populace. People here vote, and people have rights to know, and want clear answers, more clear than I cannot tell you. Then if you don't want to give a clear answer, then we know what we have to do.
Come back in 2 weeks.
Even to make an investigation why this is not done.
Well, you can do
And
that.
be aware of that.
I believe you spoke already?
I have another question. Should I
Yes.
change my appearance? Also, Candy Sprackman on 9725 Woods Drive. I am also on the bench committee, those of you. We're trying to put a bench on the property. We're having some difficulty. Here's what I'm not clear about. I'm not clear that this plat that I'm looking at takes into consideration the property from the northern boundary of the Optima building and our site. If this is everything to the north of that, ending at the North Shore Hospital properties, In other words, I'm feeling that there's property missing here, that we are taking a parcel that was one tax ID, and we're subdividing some of it into 5 new parcels, and oops, who's gonna pay the taxes on that other parcel? Who owns that parcel? This is what I'm confused about. In other words, if this is the property line down here, you can't even see where I'm doing this, but if this is the boundary, then lot 1 and 2, for the most part, are in the parking lot. But you're saying that no, there's property south of that, and it's not there. Do you understand why I'm confused?
Well, the property south of it is not part of this case.
Who owns it, and who's, and
It's still not a part of this case. It doesn't matter who owns it.
who's gonna pay the taxes?
That doesn't matter either.
It does
We're
to
only
me.
concerned with the property within the boundaries of this case.
Okay, now, for those of you who have to consider the parcel, I feel you would be remiss if you didn't ask the people who are petitioning to show you the whole lot and give them PIN numbers for the whole thing.
That's not a requirement.
Oh, then that's not right. I can't remove my apartment from the tax rolls in my building.
It's not being removed. The taxes will still apply. I think-
Without a PIN?
No, it has a PIN. It retains the previous PIN that it had.
So we're adding 5, we're subdividing, we're adding 5 new pieces of property.
That's another way of saying it.
Yes, so now we
There you
have
go.
6 pieces of property,
Well,
correct?
7, where the North Shore Health is.
And is that owned by the LLC that owns this?
I'm not sure. I don't know, but the taxes would be applied to that as well.
Because I would like to see it all considered as one. I don't care if you make it into 10 pieces,
Yeah.
but don't leave the piece hanging that, well, we gotta do something with it. Let's put up a
It's
circus.
It's not, I mean, it's the way that the surveyor, presented the plat, and it's perfectly legal.
I know, but that doesn't mean you have to accept it.
We do when it meets all the requirements.
Mm.
And that's what we've said from the beginning.
Okay, so now we have a parking lot.
As a separate lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It'd be a great, whole piece looks like a driving range to me.
A driving range? What are you talking about?
Alpa Yilmaz, 9725 Woods Drive. I'm not sure how subdivisions work or OR code, all these things you guys are talking about. But what are like the height requirements, or like can you build a certain, can you go certain stories or higher?
In the OR district, what's the height?
The minimum height is, I believe, 80 feet, which is around 7 stories.
Minimum.
Minimum, yeah.
What's the maximum?
I want to say it might be 150, 180. I'm not sure how tall is Optima? It's
20 stories high, I don't know.
Yeah, so it might be that high. I couldn't tell you offhand, but I know the minimum is 80 feet.
Okay. And I was just wondering, being power lines there, and then there's, forest preserve, is that involved? Or are those people
No.
care about what's happening here?
No,
They were notified.
they were notified.
Okay, thank you.
They were notified,
They were notified?
yes.
Okay,
We weren't notified. We found out by chance.
thank
It's the adjoining property.
Anyone else?
Will we get a copy of the minutes?
You, I'm gonna have a sign-up sheet up here, give us your name, your address. You'll get a report, of this commission meeting tonight. And you'll also will be notified when this case goes before the Board of Trustees. Okay? And I believe some of you have received notice for the next meeting.
No. I did. Yeah.
No notice.
It's October 23rd.
was thanks to the management of it was thanks to the management of Optima that we found out about this meeting.
Right,
and
yeah.
next week's. No one knew, and they found out by chance.
No notice.
We have record
Like
of
I said,
notice that was sent.
transparency.
Well, we do have records of notice, and the notice is proper. Is that correct, Counselor?
It's correct, it just might not be on the, within 250 feet of the building. It's not on our site.
But the Carvana proposal, it went out.
Oh, you're talking about the Carvana one?
Yeah.
I don't have that notice.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know about that one.
So
I'm talking
that
about this
just went
one.
out this week. It may not
Yeah,
have.
it may be coming to you soon.
Yeah.
And after the meeting.
No, for that case.
They were sent this week. There's a 2-week requirement, so.
We got no notice for this meeting.
And it wasn't required for the subplat. Yeah.
Will that report include detailed minutes of this meeting?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's more of a summary, but, yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's not.
We want a copy of the, yeah, I was, what it was said in here, not the summary.
We are entitled to the
We are
full
entitled
report.
to know very quickly, can you will make a recommendation of some type, either positive or negative, to the mayor, okay? What happens in the city government after that? And how, if it should happen, does this get changed from an OR to an enterprise zone? How would that potentially happen?
Well, if someone has to request that and come before the plan commission and start the whole process over again.
In other words, someone like the petitioners could come back and say, hey, could you turn this into an enterprise zone?
Anybody can.
Can we ask what he means by?
Can anybody
In other words, you
ask
can,
not to be met?
in other words, if the owner of any of the properties can come in and ask for a zoning change, yes.
Okay.
But it wouldn't be an enterprise zone.
Excuse me, I
Not sure
served
what
on
that
the
is.
Governor's Enterprise Zone Council, and there is a criteria that's required. In other words, there has to be some job creation, they have to employ, so there is a criteria.
There is a criteria you have to meet, but again, that's, it can't be requested.
It's not a zoning issue.
It's not a zoning issue right now.
An enterprise zone and opportunity zone is a completely different thing.
Yeah, it's not a legal zone.
It's not a land use zone.
Right, it's not a land use zone.
But it wouldn't even qualify in here, either of those two.
I defer to you there.
Okay.
No, it's so far from the requirements, it would never happen.
Since the meeting in 2 weeks is gonna be a real, a real dinger, can we start it early?
No. We're mandated at 7:30.
Is there a maximum, how late in the night we can go?
You can go, yeah, but it can only start at 7:30.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
The meeting will start at 7:30.
And whenever we're done?
Yes.
Sir, could I ask one more question?
Quickly.
I know that there's tension on your side and the audience, but we're all in this together. And all that I think most of us are trying to articulate is that we see a combative, the council against the citizens. And I don't think that's true. But if you could please give equal credence to the citizens and the population at Optima
Okay.
that pay taxes
I
and
understand-
the developers.
I understand where you're coming
But I
from.
don't see empathy.
I
I don't see
understand-
any empathy.
No, I understand where you're coming from. But we cannot comment as a commission on a case that is not before us.
Right.
So we cannot talk about that.
I'm not asking
No.
you to.
So listen, this is why I just want, like I said, I clearly stated that this is just a subdivision case. I cannot entertain or will entertain any questions pertaining to a case that is not before us and won't be before us for 2 weeks.
But sir, you
I
are
cannot
the
even
leader.
speculate. I cannot.
We don't want speculation. We want one comment saying, thank you for your input. I will consider both sides equally in making our decisions. I don't
For
think,
this case.
that's all we want.
For this case. For the subdivision.
For the entire project.
No, we can't do that. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I'm not asking
No,
for
no,
a
no, no, no,
decision.
you're asking for our empathy for the entire project, yet the entire project would include a
No.
case that we haven't even heard yet.
I'm not asking for empathy for the entire project.
Yes, you are.
Empathy
You just said
for-
that.
Well, then I'll retract it. I'm asking for empathy for the people that live there in addition to the people that want to build there. That's all. Just empathy.
You've got it, but
Okay,
only
thank you.
as far as
Thank
this
you.
goes,
Thank
as far as this case goes. Okay, I'm ready to entertain a motion for case 2021-23P, the subdivision at 9801 to 9911 Woods Drive.
None of them want to do it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Berman. Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Paul.
Thank you, Commissioner Quain. Okay, call for the vote. Commissioner Mitchell is absent. Commissioner Quain,
I vote aye on the advisory vote to allow for the pins to be changed to individual pins.
That's not what you said, sir.
I didn't understand either.
The microphone on,
I make my advisory vote that the case before us on one single pin being divided into 5 pins be approved. I say aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes.
Commissioner Franklin,
Aye.
Commissioner Giayahu is not is absent. Commissioner Lakani is absent. Commissioner Berman. Commissioner Matei. And I'll vote aye. Again, this case will go before the Board of Trustees for final approval. And there should be a sign-up sheet there. If not, we'll have a sheet. Give us your name, your address. You'll receive a copy of this report, and you'll be notified when the case will go before the Board of Trustees. Thank you for coming tonight. Have a good evening. Meeting's adjourned.